I'm Tommy D from the It's Friday. Welcome to another edition of TKB TV, the CBA edition. You can go to another network to watch a former deputy commissioner talk about the CBA who may or may not have an axe to grind. Someone who does not have an axe to grind is on the line with us. Our good friend, as always, Andrew Smith joins us. Andrew, how you doing?
Not bad, Tommy. What's going on?
The CBA is going on. Darren Williams going to Turkey possibly is going on. Your thoughts? To me, it's something that I don't think it shows a ton of player leverage. I think it's something that should be taken seriously. But, you know, the fact that he has an immediate out and he's not going to be making NBA money, plus he's going to be playing overseas away from his family, to me is three or a handful of very important factors that need to be addressed. What are your thoughts on Darren Williams possibly going to Turkey?
Well, like you said, obviously the key issue in any negotiation is leverage. And neither side really has much to stand on. The owners obviously want increased profits, and the players want what they want. But this is where the tide can turn a little bit. You know, Darren Williams is a star player. Maybe the owners, that's not enough to get the owners' attention. But if August, September rolls around and you see a star player, and I could see this happening, the key word to me in all of this is creativity. So if you have a star player that has a lot of money, they can get creative with a European team as a part owner, as a general manager, as a player. We know Kobe Bryant has connections in Italy. You know, if someone has the guts to stand up and do that, and it's a copycat league, the players might follow one of those players, and then that would give the owners really little to stand on. Because if they lose a season and you have players going to Europe, they're in very big trouble.
You and I both know, because we've talked to guys who have been very successful in Europe, who say that some NBA players go over there, you know, not your star players are going to be great wherever they play, but some players go from the NBA who I guess had finished up time in the NBA and gone over there, really struggled. And that's an important thing. Like, it's not like they're going to open up all these doors for every NBA player. So to me, that's a big leverage point too. From the owner's perspective, to me, the MLE has to be part of this thing moving forward, because if a team like the Knicks or the Lakers are going to continue to support those lower teams, even with a flex cap or a hard cap, they have to have the opportunity to spend.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it was in the reports that showed that the Knicks, Bulls, and Lakers together really were the three teams that gave the other teams, you know, the revenue that they needed to operate. So if you take that away, you know, it just wouldn't. I don't think it would work. You know, a key to me coming in is going to be the guaranteed contracts issue, and I actually think that the players would welcome non-guaranteed contracts, because in the history of the league, very, very rarely, if ever, has a team with a lot of youth won. So veteran players, you know, I brought up Kurt Thomas as an example. Kurt Thomas is a guy that he knows his role, and he knows that he'll always have a job, because any winning team would want a guy like that. And it's just an example. But somebody who's going to give you 10, 15 minutes, doesn't need a lot of money, and will always have a role somewhere, because he's smart, he can defend, and he can make jumpers. And if the veterans accept this and say, hey, we don't need non-guaranteed contracts because we know that winning teams will always want us around, that gives the owner something that they want, and it gives the players something that they want, and it's something that they can both agree on.
Veteran players will always have a place in this league, guys like Thomas, because they know how to play. And they should be given the opportunity, whether it be a short-term contract, a one-year contract, whatever, to make veteran money that they've earned and the opportunity to chase a championship.
Sure. And on the other side, one thing that you're starting to see a trend begin with NBA teams purchasing D-League teams. I actually said this a few years ago, that I thought this was something that needed to be done. You know, Cleveland just purchased a team in, I believe, in Arizona, New Mexico, and are moving them to Ohio. Having a D-League team, one, gives rookies a chance to develop. Two, it gives the roster leverage in that the players will have to step up their games if they don't want to get sent down, similar to what baseball has. So if it's almost like a farm system, and the teams get very creative with their merchandise and selling jerseys and ticket sales, and have the teams in the right locale where they'll get fans with cheap tickets, it's another way for the owners to increase their revenue. And you know, if it's a low operating cost, you have a small arena, you know, a short schedule, maybe 30 or 40 games, I think it's another thing that can work.
It also gives you the opportunity to pay players more than $30,000 to keep them from going to Europe, right? But it also opens the door for the opportunities for more Landry Fields. You know, if you add a third round in the draft, then you can develop guys in that system, in that style, pay them a little bit more, you know, and maybe you have an opportunity to get a guy at a good number to help your team moving forward.
Absolutely. And the other two things that it does to me are, one, you saw the popularity of the draft, and this was not even a strong draft from a star standpoint.
Not at all.
There might have been a lot of depth in the first or second round, but it's insanely popular with social media, and it obviously had great ratings. You add another draft, I mean, you can ask the common NBA fan, they might have been able to name 30 more players that were draftable that could have gone in that third round, and that would have created that. And also another issue that the NBA faces is early season games. They're criticized that they don't play hard and that, you know, it's not interesting until the final 2 minutes. If you have a farm system, if you want to take that risk of going out there and not playing defense for the first or second quarter in a game in November, you could get sent down. And that's something, again, I think the players, they want to compete. And if you can give them incentive to make all of these games mean something and their jobs on the line, it's another thing that both sides can agree on.
Plus, it allows you to have guys like, imagine, this may not be the best example, but Jerry McNamara playing in a minor league stadium in Scranton. Or, you know, the Shamgod Wells or guys around here, right, playing in say, Harlem or a arena in, you know, maybe lower Manhattan, Basketball City, something like that. Which is
absolutely. Los Angeles purchased their D-League team, and they're playing in Los Angeles.
And that's right, and that's something that can draw local interest to, you know, from a local perspective, a way to generate some revenue. Now, just moving forward in terms of ownership, isn't it a lot like real estate when you talk about what owners paid for, right? So if you got in the market at a high time, you paid for a team that maybe was priced at a very high level. You know, you're not in as good a shape as somebody who bought it 10 years ago. And
sure,
that's
absolutely.
And that's where that differential of income and loss really is, right?
Sure, exactly. And again, these are people that are in the top 0.1% of the population when it comes to money, so nobody feels bad for them. If you lose $100 million on a basketball team, chances are if you had that $500 million to spend, you're still doing okay.
Sure.
So no one really feels bad for them when they, one, lose money on their team, and two, hire the wrong people to make personnel decisions. But in the end, it comes down to what Nate Silver in the New York Times wrote, that this is a jealousy issue for these owners. When the NFL has $1 billion in profits in 1 year, and Major League Baseball has $500 million, and the NBA only has $200 million, they say to themselves, well, yeah, we're making profits, and a lot of it is top-heavy with the main three teams, but they want to be able to brag to their friends that own other teams that, hey, we're at your level too, because when it comes to popularity, the NBA is getting a lot closer to baseball. I don't know if they'll reach football, but the NBA had a great season, and it's momentum that they can't pass up on.
Andrew, thank you very much for the knowledge.
Thanks, Tommy.
And remember to get all your information on the Knicks and the CBA. Check out the KnicksBlog.com, part of the SNY.TV blog network. I'm Tommy D. We'll see you next time.